Welcome to Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast. I'm your host, Chewy Plays Nintendo, joined by my co-host, Sergio. I've been very excited about this episode because of our guest. We will be speaking with Jeremy, founder of the Beltree Forums, and after this interview, we're going to talk about some of the updates on Pocket Camp. But for now, let's get to speaking with Jeremy. All right, so today we are joined by Jeremy, you're the founder of the Beltree Forums, right?
Correct.
Cool. I've been really excited about speaking with you. I'm a big fan of that site. I started using it actually during New Leaf. One of my friends told me about it, and then I was like, oh, cool. I can get all of the sloppy furniture finally. So that's how I kind of found the site and started interacting. But I like to start by getting a background on our guest. So when did you start playing Animal Crossing?
I started playing with the first game, and I think that was the Christmas that it came out.
And then I guess, so that's population growing. And then I guess, where were you in your life at that point? Like, what was it that really made Animal Crossing stick out?
So I remember my brother showing me a Nintendo Power magazine because I was a big Nintendo fan. I had a GameCube, and I started getting Nintendo Power. And he showed me this game, and I said, "Well, that looks kind of silly." But I ended up asking for it for Christmas, and my parents got it for me. So, and that was when I was 14, and or no, sorry, that was when I was like 12. And yeah, I started playing it the day I got it, and it quickly became one of my favorite games.
Yeah, I totally get that because I started probably when I was 14, just starting high school, and for me it was like, wow, this is freedom. This is a place that I can call my own, which seemed pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess when you were playing that first game, did you have a favorite villager or like a favorite one of your best friends that in your town?
Well, one of my first villagers in that game was Lobo, and he was one of my villagers in a few of the other games. So, over the years, I think he's been one of my favorites.
And then, did you have like a favorite non-villager, non-playable character? I guess it's hard to distinguish them because they're all kind of
Yeah, no, I know what you
non-playable.
mean. Yeah, definitely Tortimer is my favorite.
Oh, I love Tortimer.
Yeah,
I was just talking the other day about how turtles are really awesome just in general. And it makes me sad that the only turtle that you get is Tortimer. I mean, unless you count the Cappy or the Kappas,
right.
like Cap'n. So I want to see more turtle villagers. And then, so did you play pretty much every Animal Crossing game?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. And
I
which?
don't actually I don't have Amiibo Festival or Happy Home, but the mainline games, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you probably don't need Amiibo Festival.
Yeah.
So which of those main lines has been your favorite title?
Um, I think the first one for the GameCube, um, just because maybe it's because it's the first one I played, but it really sticks out to me as, well, for one, I played it the most, and, just it being a whole new experience and the introduction to the series for me, it was definitely my favorite. Now, I don't think it's the best game. I think probably New Leaf is actually the best, but I think, yeah, the original GameCube game is my favorite.
Yeah, I totally get that because I think I've kind of struggled with that too. Like, oh, I guess there is a difference between which one's your favorite and which one's the best. But I think the more time I've spent in New Leaf, now that it's been out for years, it's kind of probably my favorite now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of mentioned you don't have Happy Home Designer or Amiibo Festival. Did you play them at all?
No. I kind of know I know like Amiibo Festival is kind of like Mario Party. and then Happy Home's like designing the houses for the villagers. But yeah, I haven't played them yet.
Oh, cool. And have you tried Pocket Camp at all?
No, I do have it downloaded, but I haven't tried it yet.
Oh, that yeah.
Yeah, I'm planning to though.
Yeah, it's different. It's all of those games are pretty different from each other. They're a change of pace for sure.
Right.
So yeah, that's just me wanting to get a quick background on your Animal Crossing playtime and everything. So now what I really want to get to is kind of Beltree forums, and because this site's huge. Even today I was just looking through it and I was like, there's so much to this site. So when did you start the site?
I started a few years after I got the first game, so I was 14, kind of towards the end of 2004.
That's amazing. I didn't even know people could make sites at that age.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. Back then it wasn't that good. Maybe
So what
it
was
was just a bunch of, and everyone else on the site was about my age, so it's just a bunch of younger teenagers. So yeah, it's a little bit of a different site than it is now.
Yeah, definitely. And then I guess what was your inspiration behind creating the site?
Well, I was a member of, I don't know if you might know of or remember, the official Nintendo forum back then was called Insider. So I was a member of that forum. And then, of course, my favorite board on that forum was the Animal Crossing board. And from there, I just kind of wanted to make my own forum. So, that's where the Beltree came from.
Oh, that's really cool. Where did the name the Beltree come from?
I'm not really sure, but one of the things when I was first playing the game, I had like a fake little store in my town, and I called it the Beltree. And so I'm assuming I was kind of influenced to name it after that.
Yeah, because I was kind of wondering, because I remember, you could plant a money tree kind of thing, and I always felt like
Yeah,
that makes sense. Like bells grow on trees.
yeah, that's what it's named after. Really.
That's pretty cool. So, 14, did you make this forum like completely on your own? Or did you have like help in the beginning to get it
Um,
started?
yeah, there were a couple people who helped me, who were on the staff, and it looked completely different than it does now. It was, we used like a free forum software type thing, and over the years, we gradually made it a little more professional.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty. Because, like I've said, looking through it, it's got a lot going on. I think initially I was kind of like scared off by forums, in the sense of like, if you look at Reddit or something, it's not the most user-friendly interface slash thing to look at. But I always felt like, at least the point when I got into Beltree, that I could follow it a lot easier. Like it was well organized. So I guess with that, like what goes into like developing, or what went into developing the site then versus now?
A lot of it's kind of the same, really. I mean, one of the ways to keep it organized, I feel like a lot of websites, especially forums, they kind of overload people with too many pages and places, boards, places to discuss. So I try to keep it as simple as possible. Break it down to a gaming board, a Animal Crossing board for each game, and then like a main area and an off-topic board. So, and we've kind of tried to keep to that, and today as well. Although there's a few more, like there's a separate Nintendo forum, and then there's a miscellaneous gaming board, for example.
That's cool. And then I guess what goes into like managing the site now? Are you pretty busy on it like daily, or is it just something that you can do kind of on the side pretty easily?
No, I'm pretty busy with it. There's lots of, I guess from there's two different aspects to it. One is the community side of it, and one's the more site administration side of it. So, the community side of it, there's a lot of, member issues and, problems with, people who need to be banned or spamming things that people don't want to see or stuff like that. And then on the other end of it, it's more of the technical stuff, setting up some event or, working on like some new feature and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then I guess you mentioned you kind of had a team kind of starting out. How has that team grown since the start?
Well, the only person from the beginning that's still here is me, actually. So there's completely different people. It's been around so long that the whole staff has changed multiple times. So, all sorts of people have contributed in their own way until now.
That's pretty cool. What steps do you typically go through to, I guess, find new staff or pick new people to work on the site?
So we do have an application process that we usually open when we are shorthanded. And it's just kind of a way to, get a bigger picture of who's interested. And then from there, we'll kind of go into the post and the way people have behaved on the forum, if their applications look okay. And then from there, we'll pick out, who we want as a mod or some other sort of staff.
That's cool. And then I guess, what are you typically like looking at for example, like if you were looking for a moderator, what shows you that like a person is a good moderator?
Yeah, we usually look for, that they can be, not biased, that they are generally mature, that they don't have a history of breaking the rules, for example, that they get along with a lot of people, that they might not be like too closely aligned with, cliques and stuff like that. Usually, I think someone that comes across as like responsible and mature, that those are usually the people that we pick.
Yeah, this seems, I mean, I'm still fascinated by you just like starting this at 14. And I guess like how, because I mean, it's a big thing to like start a community like this. And then, of course, like be able to deal with, just problems you're going to run into in any community where there's like there are bad apples all over the place. You never know where you're going to get them. But I guess like how, because I imagine you were in a very different spot maturity wise at that age versus now. Like how has the site kind of like grown you as a person?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, maybe the way the site was ran back then was kind of more aligned with my age and my experience back then. So I definitely think over the years that it's been improved, and it's a little bit more of a professional environment than it would have been back then, for sure.
Yeah, because we all change and we grow, so it's pretty cool to have like a site that kind of represents that too, right, for a person.
Yeah, and the site at this point has been a part of my life for almost probably I'm 27 and it's 13 years old, so yeah, a lot of my life.
Yeah, so you've officially spent a majority or almost a majority of your life on that.
Yeah, well, it's going to be so the site's going to be 14 years old this December.
That's pretty awesome. And then I guess, do you have any events planned for, I guess, birthdays to the site?
So we used to have like this big event that we do around that time to celebrate, it's another year. That's called the Beltree Fair. We moved that to the summer just because, that seemed to work better for people. People are less busy then. So, but yeah, that's one of our bigger events. We do a lot of different forum events, usually around summer, Christmas time, Halloween, and Easter are the big ones.
That's cool. Yeah, I noticed while I was on there today that the vote for the villager bracket finals was happening. I voted for Yuka as my favorite of the two. But I guess like what goes into like thinking of the events for the community?
Yeah, so that event is actually brand new, and that's going to be kind of like a thing that we repeat. And so this one we called it Villager Week. So the whole week we had this like bracket and some other little goings on that we did for village about villagers. But events, we usually, we at this point in the forum, we are pretty much to a schedule where we have like the four major events: Halloween, the fair, Easter, and Christmas. So we pretty much know, when the big events are going to be. And basically maybe about a month before we start planning, what we want to do, maybe, the different prizes and stuff like that. And, so it's basically the whole staff kind of deciding, planning and then implementing it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So what's happened in like the older events? Like what have you done in the past?
Yeah. So for example, the fair, that's like our big event that I was talking about, which was our last big event. Oh no, sorry, that was a while ago because the last big event was Christmas. But before that, the fair, basically we have about a dozen different events inside of it that people do. For example, there's like a contest to design your own character, and you name it and you pick out its furniture and stuff like that. And there's like a gaming tournament and different art contests and stuff. And if you do well in those, or you participate in a lot of those, you get a ticket, and then from the tickets you can use those to buy different prizes. Some are real world prizes, and then some are like forum little collectibles that you can display under your name.
Th- that's pretty exciting. I know Sergio had like some specific questions about like art on the forum.
Yeah, I was wondering if you have a section that is specific to fan art because there's a lot of it out there, and I'm pretty sure you will agree that Animal Crossing fans overall seem to be very creative and artistically driven.
Yeah, for sure. We actually do have a board just for art and stuff like that. It's called the museum. So, and then there's inside of that, there's another place where people can trade art and, ask for commissions and stuff like that.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like the idea of like people making their own villagers. I think I'm gonna go and make a turtle now. And add them to it. So I guess like in terms of when the site, because we're kind of in between Animal Crossing games. Maybe not. I mean, maybe a lot of people on there, doing a lot of stuff on Pocket Camp. But I guess like which games have been the busiest? Was I guess did the site start when Wild World came out, or was it before then?
um, it started just a little before Wild World came out. So basically, when it opened, we were kind of all talking about,
Hmm.
at the time, we called it ACDS, the new game. Um, but yeah, the site, so it usually does fluctuate with the new games coming out. By far, it basically each new game it's been busier and busier. So by far, New Leaf's been the busiest, and so yeah, it does drop a little bit in activity if it's been a while. This game has by far lasted longest, so there's still a lot of people playing it.
Yeah, and I think it's just easier to play online. And even at this point, like Wild World, you can't play online anymore.
All right.
And I don't think
Yeah,
City Folk either, right?
No.
no,
Yeah, so I'm sure, it kind of sucks to see like that kind of thing happen to a game where just like the online isn't there anymore. And, it's very community driven having a game like this. Um,
right, for sure.
so I guess I mentioned this a few times on this podcast, but I used to trade villagers. If I had a rare one, I'd put it up and be like, you know what, this person's moving out. Who wants to give me 15 million bells? Did this site do like villager trading?
Yeah, and see, this was all new to me. I didn't even know this was a thing. But when New Leaf first came out, people started doing this, and we actually have a whole section just for that called Villager Trading Plaza, and it's probably one of the busiest places on the forum. It has 1 million posts almost, so yeah,
Oh,
lots
wow.
of people are trading and selling and buying, and yeah, so it's a pretty active part of the community playing Animal Crossing.
Yeah, so what was the experience with that? Because I know I primarily did my trading through like a Tumblr page at the time, back at the height of my animal trade. I used to call it the animal slave trade. It's very bad. Um, but I guess, did you run into a lot of problems? Because I know a lot of people kind of, they got cheated out of villagers that they wanted, didn't really get what they promised in return. What was the experience with the villager trade on Beltree forums?
Yeah, I mean that happens sometimes, and we also, the same with the items because we have a board just for item trading too, and we do have a feedback system. So, since we can't really prove that something bad happened, then they can leave negative feedback if, they, I guess, if the transaction didn't go through or something like that. So, we try our best to help people, but obviously we can't see what happens in the game. So we do have that feedback system that helps with that.
Yeah, and then I guess, do you ever see like the community kind of come together in times like to help other people out if they've been cheated out of anything, or is it just kind of, it happens?
Yeah, I think people generally don't like those bad people who try to, do bad things to people in the game. Nobody wants to experience that. So I think when that does happen, people are quick to help out if they can.
Yeah. One of our listeners mentioned that their first experience playing in like any type of community was actually through Beltree forums. They picked up Wild World on the DS, and
Oh
then
well.
they found Beltree forums and they started, finding other people to play with, trade things. So what's your experience been kind of like building the community itself?
Um, you mean like in terms of playing Animal Crossing or?
Yeah, I guess like playing Animal Crossing, but also like, finding other people to play Animal Crossing with. I guess, did you involve yourself in Beltree forums in a way, like, start trading
Oh yeah.
items and such?
Oh, I haven't really done that much in a while. I used to maybe back with Wild World. Probably not with New Leaf as much. The one trade I did do though is when I first realized that, when the game came out and I saw people were trading villagers, then I was like, oh, I guess I can get Lobo now. So that was the one thing I traded was for Lobo, but I haven't really done that much with items or anything else.
Yeah, that is pretty nice. It's just amazing how people just figure out like, oh, you can do this to trade these villagers and it works.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, they did also mention that like at some point there was some sort of wild world hack that could be done to people's towns where it essentially left their game unplayable. Um,
Right. I remember that.
yeah, I guess, did you run into any other problems like that with the other games, or was Wild World like a big culprit in that?
Um, in City Folk, there was an issue with, I think, something similar, and there were some kind of sketchy items that people would try to sell. That a lot of times it would crash the game or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's happened before. I mean, basically, the rule on the forum is we don't allow, like items that people got through cheating. So we try to keep the kind of like the marketplace kind of like pure from that kind of influence.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. To keep so I
Yeah, I
guess,
mean, of course it happens. We can't really prevent it completely, but we try our best to, keep it normal.
Right.
yeah. And I think that's pretty I think that's like the realistic thing with, running any community. and well, any like community driven type of platform that, there are a lot of people who are a part of it slash go into the final product of what it is. And so it, it's just like you're going to run into different types of problems. But I guess, what do you think makes like a great community?
That's kind of hard. Yeah, I think probably where people are, active in doing something like, for example, on the Beltry, it's playing the games, and playing them with each other. I think that's the best kind of community because, if they're not doing something, then, people get kind of bored and, there's not much point to the whole place. So I think the fact that Animal Crossing allows us to visit each other and trade items and villagers, I think that worked out well.
Yeah. So what's been your favorite thing about creating the Beltry?
Um, hmm. Probably I don't know. I like doing the different events and releasing, like, the different prizes we have for those. That's probably, they can be extremely stressful. So on one hand, I don't really like doing them, but on the other hand, it can be pretty rewarding because I think the events that we do are what put us, make us different from other forums.
Yeah. And then I guess, what kind of prizes do you usually have for these events?
So usually we have what we call collectibles, which you can buy with the forum currency bells. Um, a lot of times it's those people collect them, and we have like some that are from our different villagers, which is, like you mentioned, the bracket that we had this week in Coco One. So we were making a Coco villager collectible. So a lot of times we release these new collectibles that people collect, and with the fair, our bigger event in the summer, we do a lot of real prizes. So one of the thing is what we call prize pack, and it has like basically it's on Animal Crossing stationery, and it's like a little message, and you get like little stickers and all sorts of little goodies in that. And there's a few other prizes we do, that some of the staff have made. Like Oblivia's made these little perler bead sprites of characters, and we also have had like these little fossil pillows and leaf pillows that one of the former mods made and stuff like that.
That's awesome. I love all that stuff because I think that's a big deal, especially because, I'm in North America, and I remember just going to convention after convention and being like, where is the Animal Crossing stuff? Like, I want so badly to be able to collect something, at least like physical, about it. But I don't think
Yeah,
it was
it's
till recently things started to pop up.
yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's probably one of the biggest games on the 3DS, but maybe not so much now. But it seems like there's just not that kind of it's not like Mario or Pokemon or Zelda. I remember the first time I went to the Nintendo store in New York City. I was like pretty excited to see all the Animal Crossing stuff. And I get there and it's all like Link and different, and they had like 100 Pokemon, but there was no Animal Crossing.
Oh man.
So I think they did add it like 2 months after that. So I was like, I like just missed it, but
Wow. And then I guess, when did you go? Because I kind of went maybe 2 years ago now. It was like a couple summers
um,
ago, and I I was amazed because there was Animal Crossing stuff there. It wasn't much, but it was a lot more than I'd seen anywhere else.
yeah, I think that must have been after me. I think I went. I remember there was a Mario Kart tournament for the Wii U, if I remember. So I think it was right when that came out.
Um,
Yeah, and you know what? I just went recently, about 2 months ago, and I was hoping to see a lot of stuff because of the recent release of Pocket Camp, but there wasn't much actually.
yeah.
Yeah, they
eh,
have a whole floor for Pokemon.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and it seems crazy because, like, I went 2 years ago and I found things, and then what's crazy about that is, like, that's like the game's been out for a couple years
Yeah,
already, maybe even three. So, yeah, it just blows my mind that, like, I think Animal Crossing's got a huge following, but it's surprising to me that like the actual physical memorabilia doesn't exist as much.
Yeah, true.
So I guess you you work on Beltree forums a lot. I know there's a Discord server for the Beltree. Did you also get that server kicked off, or what has that process been?
Well, we started using IRC. We used IRC for a long time, and then a couple of years ago, we moved to Discord. So, because IRC was basically, less and less people were using it. So when Discord came out, that did seem, more, a lot of gamers are using it to talk about video games. So that did seem appropriate. So one of the other administrators, Justin, set that up, and then yeah, we started using that instead of IRC. So
That's pretty cool. And I guess what has been like the intention of having this other platform to communicate with, among other users?
Discord, you mean?
Yeah, using Discord and slash IRC. Um,
Um, yeah. So I think it basically serves as we have two channels in there, general and then Animal Crossing. So general is basically just your any chat room on the internet. And then Animal Crossing, people are talking about the game. So I think it's hard to tell exactly because it came out a little after the game. We started using it a little after the game, so we don't have as much people as don't have as many people playing it as we might right after a game release. But we'll have to see what the next one.
yeah. And then I guess going back a bit to the memorabilia, so we got Amiibo Festival. We got a bunch of, Animal Crossing amiibo in the form of cards and figures. Did you collect any?
No, no. I've been I've been planning to get the Villager amiibo. Back when I was looking at that, they were like almost impossible to get. I'm sure that's not the case right now, but because that was like that was a long time ago. But yeah, no, I do have one amiibo, but it's not Animal Crossing.
Which one is it?
Pikachu.
Oh, of course, Smash
Yeah,
Man.
yeah, because that is who I play in Smash Brothers. So.
And did you have or do you have a section in the forums for amiibo trading, like amiibo cards?
Yeah, so we did add, we call it the Animal Crossing Amiibo card post office. It's a board in there, and people can send the cards. We only allow trading, so yeah, they can send them to each other in there.
Right. Okay.
That's pretty cool. I did a lot of that too because I mean, not too surprisingly, but I've bought every Animal Crossing amiibo, including the
Yeah.
cards, which is crazy.
See, I have the original 3DS, so I never really. I mean, I could buy the adapter that scans in the Amiibo cards, but I never really. I don't know. I never had the Amiibo cards, so I can't even use them. So
Yeah, that's true. It's hard to want to get them when you don't have anything that you could use
yeah.
them with. Um, yeah, and you mentioned the villager. It's funny. I remember the first villager that came out. I never got it, but the second one that came out had a different print where the eyes were slightly different, and I don't know,
Oh yeah.
people went crazy over that. They really wanted first print villagers. I think at the time when I was looking, they were like 70 to $100. And just
Wow.
yesterday or earlier this week, I was looking on eBay for them, and they're pretty reasonable now. Only in the 20s versus the hundreds. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
back when I was trying to get the original Villager, a lot of the amiibos are really hard to get. So I think that's better now though.
yeah. So I also saw that just digging through the forum a bit that you had a podcast on the Beltree forums. Um,
Um,
I,
well, it's kind of funny. Like so we had like a podcast kind of like years ago, years and years ago. When everyone was like really young, so it's probably kind of bad. Um, and then probably, so yeah, that was probably 3 years ago or more that we wanted to reboot it. We only ended up doing 3 episodes, and that was it. So who knows? Maybe that's it. Maybe we'll do it again.
Yeah, I noticed. I definitely listened to one earlier today, and I noticed you talk about a lot of like different Nintendo news, and you mentioned earlier that you're a fan of like the Nintendo Power magazine and such. So I guess, are you still like you just like keeping up with all things Nintendo? Are you mainly a Nintendo gamer?
Yeah, I mean, I used to be like very strict Nintendo. I do have like an Xbox now. I do play some PC games, but yeah, I'm definitely still a Nintendo fan for sure.
That's pretty cool. So you've kept up with like the directs.
Yeah, well, I watch. I didn't see it all, but I did see like the Smash Brothers part, and I kind of skimmed through a little bit of it.
Yeah, and I guess, is there anything like you're hoping to hear at the directs? Because I know like there are a bunch of Smash fans. It's a great game. Was that something you were hoping to hear?
Well, I mean, there's two things that I've been waiting for, and you probably know. Like, the second one is Smash, and the first one is, of course, Animal Crossing. After several directs of that not happening, I kind of just gave up and whatever. So, but yeah, I was pretty surprised to see that they actually did announce a new Smash Brothers. So hopefully, the next direct or the next big direct can have Animal Crossing for the Switch.
Yeah, so are you, I guess, at the point where you're not too disappointed in not seeing Animal Crossing, or is it still kind of like a light, gentle stab in the heart?
Yeah, it's pretty much. I guess there's not going to be an Animal Crossing for the Wii U. I mean, I was for sure there was going to be because it seemed perfect. That didn't happen. So, I mean, I only can imagine it's only a matter of time. So it's just kind of frustrating. And finally, when there was some footage of Animal Crossing on the Wii U, it was Amiibo Festival. So that that didn't really help either.
Yeah, I totally.
Yeah. Hopefully for the Switch, I really do want to play Animal Crossing for the Switch, and it would be nice for the Beltry too. It would be a lot more active.
Yeah, and then I guess I don't know what Nintendo has been up to in that sense, because you get things like Pocket Camp getting announced, but they say there's going to be a direct, but then right away they hit you with we're only going to talk about the mobile game, nothing else. I guess, how have you felt about like that type of news coming out for Animal Crossing?
Well, I can understand why they're doing it because I remember back when the 3DS game was coming out. Um, that must have been in at least 2 E3s, and the wait for that was like so long. And they announced it like way too early, and I think they probably learned from their mistakes because with Smash Brothers, for example, they announced it the same year it's coming out. So I can kind of understand why they're doing that because they don't want to disappoint people as much. So on one hand, it's probably a good thing, but it is frustrating just waiting.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point, because like the way Nintendo has kind of dealt with the news lately has been like last year they had their January event, they announced a bunch of games, and then a lot of those games came out. Even ones like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 that are huge games that nobody expects to not be delayed. um, so yeah, you make a good point. I think whenever they do announce Animal Crossing, we're gonna see it within that year.
Yeah,
Um,
I hope so.
so I guess, do you foresee like a Switch announcement coming this year at all?
Uh, I almost want to say no because I feel like every not for maybe a year, but every direct I was waiting and hoping that there would be the new game, and I've just kind of come to that point where I just forgot about it all. So I'm going to say no, but maybe it'll come out, or maybe they'll announce it at the end of the year, and it'll be out mid next year. Is my guess. I'm not. Who knows? Maybe it'll be Christmas this year or never.
That'd be the worst. Yeah, and I like that you did bring up like the wait during the Wii U era, because I also thought like the Wii U would be a great system for Animal Crossing. Um, just the way the gamepad worked, the options you had to use both the touch screen and have it on your TV. I thought it was a great system for it, and then it comes out, it has its 5 year lifespan, and you're like, man, we're never gonna see this game on here.
Yeah, yeah, and I remember before the Wii U came out, and they were kind of showing, its potential and all of that. I remember they showed basically a mock-up of Animal Crossing. They had like the menu, like the pockets on the gamepad. So they even kind of taunted it with that, but it never came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have a little confession. At the time, it was a given. Everybody knew that we were getting Animal Crossing for the Wii U, to the point that I was preparing for it, and I bought a second Wii U so that I could have two towns and trade between them. So I had to sell that extra Wii U eventually at a loss.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the same with everybody on the forum too. It's like, we all thought it would be coming, but I guess not.
Yeah. So you've played this game a lot. You know the ins and outs of the Animal Crossing franchise. What would you like to see in the next game, like as far as like innovating the series in some way?
Yeah, I think, because yeah, this is definitely like one of the things I've thought about a lot, because Animal Crossing fans or fans of any game like to talk about the different types of things that could be added or the potential. But I think for me, one of the biggest things is they should make the town like extremely bigger, and maybe just kind of give it more of a sense of like you're exploring a new world. Like, it's basically so big that, maybe there's like a forest in the corner of your town that you don't know what's in there. Maybe there's like a cave that you could go in, and maybe like Rossetti's in there or something like that. Basically like add to kind of, making the world much bigger than it is in New Leaf. I think that would be good.
Yeah, and I like that because, it's Animal Crossing. You're living in a town with animals. Um, I think the game should cater to that like type of environment that they're in. So yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, because I think like when I first played the first game, it was a completely new experience. So I think for me, I had a lot of that experiencing like the whole world for the first time and exploring the town. But since then, I feel like it's basically been the same thing. So I feel like they could expand on it a lot more.
Yeah, and I think where the first game really differed, because since Wild World, we've had like that pin world type of thing, like you said.
Right.
But that first game, like, I don't know, the movement through the different acres made it feel like something bigger. Like you could explore a lot more because you went
Yeah.
to like a literal new screen where something else could be happening.
Right. And then, they did, I think they maybe tried to do this sort, like they try to make it a little bigger. They added the city, and then they or Main Street. But to me, that doesn't really count. I mean, it's basically just like a fixed place. It's like not really like, it's the same everywhere. It's just like a fixed group of buildings that you go to. So to me, that's not very interesting. I think, in my opinion, bring all those stores back into the town, but make the town like 4, maybe even like 10 times the size.
Yeah, that's totally true. I guess I hadn't thought about that either because, the just, City Folk and New Leaf kind of had two separate areas where you have the part where you live in and the part where you shop in.
Mhm.
And yeah, it would be pretty cool to see that come back together again and make it like
Yeah.
one cohesive area. And then even seeing like the variety in where shops and stuff end up in every place.
Yeah, maybe they could be grouped together, or some of them could be grouped together. But yeah, I don't know. I just was never like too crazy about like you go to this place and it's just like here are the stores, and then you just go back and there's your house. So
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We were also wondering if your Beltry forums ever had like a local meetup or even a bigger meetup, maybe for like an anniversary where a lot of your users met in person.
No, we never had anything like that. I know that a lot of them have met each other, like in person, but yeah, we never had like an official meetup or anything like that.
Right, right. Do you plan to, or would that be maybe a little too much?
Um, yeah, no plans to do that at least.
Okay. And then, with the hopefully upcoming new Animal Crossing Switch, I'm sure you're already thinking ahead and what you're going to be needing to plan or to implement in the website for, and a lot of it also depends on what the features of the game are going to be, but I'm sure you're at least thinking maybe you might need new staff or new features.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely the forum will get a lot busier. So in that sense, we might need more staff. We probably reorganize the forum a lot. We have basically a whole section for New Leaf now, so we'd probably make that smaller. And as the new game comes out.
Right, right. I hope you're more excited than, a little bit scared of the extra work.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it definitely would be exciting. Like when New Leaf came out, the site was just exploded like I've never seen, and it was pretty crazy. So, and that was exciting though.
Cool, cool.
Cool. Well, it's been so great to have you on here. Was there anything like you wanted to let our listeners know about, Beltree forums, about anything related to Animal
Um,
Crossing?
well, I hope they could come to the forum, and maybe I'll see them there, and I hope they enjoy the game as much as I do.
Yeah, so we'll have all of this linked for everyone to find it. I've always liked Beltree forums, of course. I was really excited to speak with you about it.
Yeah, it's been
Um,
fun.
yeah, is there anywhere I guess you want people to find you, or is just the Beltree forums okay?
Yeah, just the poetry forms. That's pretty much it.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for joining us. This is awesome. Super cool to have you on. I'm still thinking like, man, 14, the site's almost half your age right now.
Yeah,
That's exciting.
yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like impacted my life. So yeah, it's definitely been a big part of it.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. I'm sure everybody will love listening to this. We're happy to have you.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you so
thanks for
much.
having me on. Yep, thanks.
All right, everyone. So let's actually get started on talking about Pocket Camp updates. And today is Tuesday, so by now the fishing tourney with Chip is over. Sergio, how did you feel about the fishing tourney?
Oh, I liked it a lot. It's also demanding in the sense that you really have to play every 3 hours if you don't want to spend any extra lift tickets. But the good thing about it is that it doesn't take so long for each session of play, or each fishing participation. You only catch about 6 fish, give them to Chip, and then you're good to go for another 3 hours.
Yeah, so I actually like stopped kind of doing chores for people during the day. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna log in every 3 hours, do my fishing for 2 minutes, and then be done with it?
Right, right, right,
So I did like that it was kind of shorter, but I think the problem is like at the same time we have the Mario item event going on.
right.
I still haven't gotten every piece of furniture from this first part, but I really want to because you get leaf tickets for them.
Oh yeah,
Um,
for sure.
yeah, so I am trying to do that at the same time, but I did like doing the fishing because it was like 2 minutes and you're done,
Yeah,
you know?
right, right. Um, like you mentioned, the Mario event, the first phase is gonna end on Tuesday night. So when this podcast is out, that day, it's when the next phase is gonna start. And I actually finished with the items a while ago. I guess since the gardening event and we were playing a lot, I kind of just kept going and I did a lot of villager requests already. So I have plenty of extra mushrooms of the first type already.
Yeah, and they might actually add other mushrooms, I think, for the next
Oh,
part. So
yeah.
I'm like, I'm not even sure if the mushrooms we have now are going to still work.
Right. I mean, I'm hopeful because I still have so many extras, but yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it would be super nice to go in already like halfway towards some of the goals.
Right.
Um, yeah, but at the same time, I think every time a gardening event ends, for me, I am just like, man, I need a break. I think the first day after the gardening event, I did not play.
Oh,
And that was like the first time in a
in
while
a
that
while,
I
yeah.
didn't log into Animal Crossing. Um, so it was kind of weird, but also kind of like, yes, I need this.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I slowed down. It's a like you need a break from the game after those gardening events for sure.
Yeah. And I think what's weird about like, because, I play tons of Animal Crossing New Leaf, but I won't get burned out the same way I do on Animal
No.
Crossing.
Hmm.
And I think the reason is like, I know that I can play New Leaf once a day, get everything done that I want to do, and then like, I don't have to think about it anymore.
Right.
Whereas Pocket Camp, I'm like, oh man, it's 3 o'clock. I have to remember the time changed for me. It used to be two, and
Oh
I'll be
yeah.
like, oh, it's 3 o'clock now. I've got to check what the new stuff is going on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's pretty busy. So, anyways, let's actually talk about like the fishing tourney a little bit. So, we got some new fish, which was cool because we've been seeing the same old fish the
Right.
entire game. Um, we saw clownfish, surgeonfish, and the barred knife jaw. What did you think of their designs?
Oh, they're pretty cool. I mean, I'm hopeful that after the tourney, they'll stick around.
Yeah, I thought they were super cute. I know, I mean, it's like based on Nemo and Dory,
Yeah,
and then, just the barred knife jaw is a classic Animal Crossing fish.
right.
So I don't know. It was fun to see something different for me, and then especially to see like you got fish tanks of them.
Yeah.
And actually, is there a squid one, or is there only like a clownfish tank and a barred knife jaw tank?
I haven't seen a squid one now.
Well, that's a bummer. The clownfish tank, adorable. Barred knife jaw, adorable. Um, I think in other Animal Crossing games, I've always been kind of bored with the look of them.
Hmm.
And I think the design of these tanks makes it feel like, oh, this is an actual pet that
Yeah.
I take care of in some way because it has a filter.
Right, yeah.
It has like some coral inside of the tank
Yeah.
to play with. So I did really like that a lot. We also got to see the golden fishing rod,
All right,
and
yeah.
I was actually hesitant to get it at first. But then I started doing the tournament, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is demanding.
Yes, right.
And so I think um, Saturday morning or Friday night, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need that fishing rod. And so I got it for two reasons. One, utility, like I needed to catch more fish.
Mhm.
The second was like, this is our first golden tool in Pocket Camp. I can't miss that.
Right, right. I mean, to be honest, I was very tempted to get it just for that reason, to try the special rod.
Yeah, so did you not get it?
No, no.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? 80 leaf tickets is so many. And that's why I'm like trying so hard to make up for it now.
Mm.
I was like, I
Oh,
need these leaf tickets because I just spent 80 of them just to rent out this
yeah.
fishing rod.
Yeah, right.
I wish they would have let you keep it.
Oh, yeah, if it was that, I would have spent it, but I'm saving for Celeste, so I didn't want to jeopardize that.
Yeah, and I think part of it was like if I spent those 80 leaf tickets, I still have enough for Celeste. I'm just gonna kiss the other leaf ticket items goodbye
Oh,
and just commit to Celeste.
right, right.
Because yeah, there are some other items or some landscapes that we could talk about a little later. Um, but yeah, I guess there was also a special fishing net available for the event.
Yeah, you get one free, and basically it catches the special fish for the tournament. But again, you only get one unless you want to buy another, which is 20 lift tickets.
Yeah, and I definitely didn't spend Leaf tickets, but I did. Does it have a different jingle for this
Oh,
net?
yes, that's a good point. Yeah, it did.
Yeah, because I finally played with my volume on, and then I used a net, and I was like, oh, new
Yeah.
song. So I geeked out on that a little
Yeah,
bit. I
no,
thought it
me
was
too for
cute.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, was there anything else you wanted to say about this event?
No, I mean it's over, but it sounds like they're gonna be coming back. It's gonna be fishing or hopefully also the bug catching tournament. So, oh, it's definitely a nice way to break up the game, especially because it's only for the weekend period. But we're gonna have to be pretty um, constant with the game on those weekends for sure.
Yeah, I think it was a nice change of pace, but also the pace was like nonstop.
Yeah, yeah,
It was like you better play
yeah.
if you want these rewards. And of course I do, so I played.
Right, right.
So anyways, fishing tourney that happened, and then we also got some special new terrains. And they were the underwater terrains. Have you gotten a chance to like look at them and like preview them as your campsite?
Yeah, yeah, for sure I want the sky, the ocean sky, even though that's the only thing I would get. I just want to change the sky of my campsite. But yeah, oh, they look really cool. And it's perfect timing because a lot of the items from the fishing tournament are for like an underwater type of campsite, which would go perfect with the new decorations that they provided.
Yeah, they go so well together.
Yeah,
And it's funny that you mentioned the sky because I think overall that one is the most enticing.
right,
Like being able to change your sky is insane. I didn't think we would
right,
be able to do that. But then also that is the most expensive one. They put
right.
it they predicted it. They were like, "You know what, everybody? They're going to want a new sky. 300 leaf tickets for that one." And you're just like, "No. I just sold my legs. I can't lose my arms too. I need them to play the game."
Right, right. Is that the single most? Oh no, I guess that would be Celeste, right? She's 350.
Yeah, Celeste is 350, so it's still slightly
Oh man.
cheaper.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like I sold my legs to Celeste. I can't sell my arms to the
Right.
sky. um, but yeah, it's cool to see the different terrains. I'm kind of disappointed that they're coming out with mostly leaf ticket terrains.
Right. Right.
It'd be nice if they gave us a bigger bundle, kind of like the camper options, you know?
Hmm.
We got a lot of leaf ticket options, but we also got a lot of bell options. And the that's kind of what I want to see. I want to see more bell options. Maybe lower the price on the terrains a little bit cuz paying 250 for each piece of it is kind of overkill, I think.
Right. But like we said, a lot of us are just not spending on real money on Leaf tickets anymore. So this is their way of getting us back.
Yeah. I want to mention, I told Cyborg Zero I was going to quote him on this, but he said, all they are doing with these Leaf tickets are pushing me back into wanting to play New Leaf and hoping for a new game." And he's actually doing that now. He's
Right.
just playing New Leaf again. So I think that's unfortunate. Like it's putting a onto the game that's making it kind of less enjoyable for a lot of
Right.
people, you know?
Right.
And that's why I'd really like to see them add like terrains that we can get by spending bells, you know?
Yeah, they
And
could even I mean they could offer both options. Do you want to spend bells or if you want to save them maybe for a camper upgrade, then you have the option to spend Leaf tickets.
yeah, and I think that's what makes it tough because, this is a feature that's essentially locked. It's
Mm,
got a wall, and the wall is money.
yeah.
And, not a lot of people want to spend a lot. I've done the math on the Leaf tickets, and I'm like, all right, if I get the Tom Nook chair for 250 Leaf tickets, and just buying Leaf tickets at that base price of $1 gets you 20 Leaf tickets, you're spending $12.50 for one item,
Right.
whereas for $16 or $20, if you're not on my Nintendo to get the discount on New Leaf, you can get a whole game,
Right.
which is like, obviously mobile games are profitable. They get a lot of money for them, and they can always keep getting money for them, Um, but at the same time, like, we get you want money, but maybe if you wanted a little less money, we'd spend more, and then in
Right.
turn you'd get more money. So
Right.
it's hard to strike that balance.
Right. Right. Like 12.50 for Tom Nook Cherry, it's way too much. But for KK Slider, it's a bargain. But I know what you mean.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're gonna pay whatever you need to pay for KK. So yeah, we kind of talked about Super Mario Event Phase 2. What do you think's gonna come? I personally think we're gonna get one-up mushrooms, the green mushrooms for this
Oh,
portion.
right, right. And it sounds like the first items are gonna stick around. So the regular red mushrooms that villagers give you in return for requests, those should stick around as well. So, if you're not done, you should be able to catch up.
Yeah, and I think that's cool that they're keeping them around. But at the same time, I know that you can only get leaf tickets from them for like the next. It might be done by the time this episode comes out, but the leaf tickets end when that portion of the event ends. But you
Right,
can still get the items, but you won't get rewarded for making them,
right, right.
which is a little bit of a bummer, especially because the last ones are leaf tickets and we need those.
Yeah.
um, Also, with the fishing, which is also over by the time this episode is out, I'm going crazy trying to catch 45 olive flounders and one more red snapper to get 10 leaf tickets for each. um, so, yeah, lots of opportunities for leaf tickets, but also it's getting harder.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
getting harder to get them. Um, and for us, it's been hard because we're level, I
yeah,
don't know, we're so high level, it takes us forever to get another level and get those 10 measly leaf
yeah,
tickets.
right?
Yeah. So, anyways, let's quickly go over some of the updates that came to the game. Tell us about it, Sergio. What has improved?
Oh, it has improved, all right. Finally, the gardening has been improved. You can harvest, plant, and water multiple flowers at once. I was really hoping for this before the last gardening event. But
Yes.
I guess for the next one, it's gonna be way easier.
Yeah, it's gonna save so much time on that next event. Just garden one thing and or garden once and you're done.
Right, and we knew this was coming before the Leaf event started. I was hoping that maybe they could implement it in between at least, but I guess not.
Yeah, it was too bad to just go one at a time
Uh,
once again, and then one at a time, picking them all. And yeah, I'm glad they brought that because now I'm like, oh, if I go into my garden, I won't be spending as much time as I already do,
right.
which would have been tough.
Right, right. I'm actually doing regular gardening because of this and because the villagers ask you for flowers now, so I definitely want to have a good backup of all of them.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm now inspired to get every item in the game. And so
All right.
you have to plant so many flowers to do
Yeah.
that. My goodness. I can't tell you how many flowers because you probably need more than how many you think you need.
Right.
So that's pure insanity.
Yeah, good luck. That's gonna be challenging.
Yeah. So tell me about the market box. How have they changed that up?
Oh yeah. We at first we didn't notice really, but somebody from the Discord pointed it out. And yeah, when you're about to visit a friend, before you could only see four of their items. Now, if you scroll down, you can see their entire market box. Finally.
Yes, about time. It's such a hassle going to each and every campsite to see what they have. I'm so glad that we can see it now because now I can just be like, oh, you don't have what I need. See you later. And then people could do the same to me too, you know?
Right.
My market box is full right now. I'm assuming nobody wants it, so it's okay.
Oh, that's funny. Mine is full as well. But yeah, the other day I was looking for tiger butterflies, and this feature definitely helped.
Yeah, that was very cool. And then finally, you also mentioned on the notes that campsite villagers give you fish. And from what I've noticed is for me, they've given me like the event fish during the fishing tournament.
Hmm.
Um, but you mentioned you got a tuna,
I got
right?
a tuna, yeah.
That is insane.
I couldn't
How
believe it. Yeah.
do those sell for what, 5,000 bells? What is it?
I think it was 3,000, but it's the only one I have, so I'm keeping it for sure.
Okay. I gave up on keeping all of the rare
Oh,
fish because I was like, you know what? Nobody ever asks for these. I can't sell them on my market box. I'm just gonna get the bells,
right.
pay off those loans. um, so yeah, that's what I've done with them. I don't need a tuna anymore. But yeah, that's still very cool. I definitely want them to give me that because I need 3,000 bells all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know we went through updates pretty quick, but we wanted the focus to be Jeremy, of course. It was very cool to have him on the show. And if you could please leave us a review wherever you're listening, iTunes, Stitcher, all of the great spots, and it'll make the podcast just more visible to everybody so we can grow our awesome community. And speaking of community, join our Discord. It's a great place to chat about all things Animal Crossing and find some friends to play Pocket Camp with. Sergio and I both have our friend codes available on there, so if you join, you could be our friends. You can visit our campsites. It'll be super fun. And then if you love the show and you want to support, visit patreon.com/ChewiePlaysNintendo. For $1, you can support us and get tons of cool things like my friend codes on Switch, Wii U, 3DS. Sergio does some cool art things for people if they want, you know. He takes requests from patrons.
Right.
And then you can get some early news on what we're working on. Everybody who supports knew that this interview was coming up. I was pretty excited about it, so I let them know. And then you just have opportunities to make your voice heard, like Cyborg Jiro today, and his, just talking about Leaf tickets in the game. So yeah, if you want to support, be sure to visit us there. And we hope you have a great week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.